Picture this, you're starting your day, coffee in hand, looking out the window as the world wakes up. Suddenly, without a sound, without any warning, the sky goes black. Not eclipse black, where the corona still shimmers, but an absolute, profound, ink-black void. Your first thought might be confusion. Your second, a primal fear. Every light on Earth that isn't man-made has just been switched off. But the strangest part? Nothing else has changed. You don't feel a lurch, the birds don't fall from the sky, the tides are still moving. For 8 minutes and 20 seconds, the Earth continues its perfect, gentle arc through space, held in place by the ghost of a star. That's how long it takes for light and gravity to travel from the sun to us. For 8 minutes and 20 seconds, we would be orbiting nothing, bathed in the last light of a dead star, completely unaware that our solar system's death warrant has already been signed. This isn't just about the lights going out. This is the story of the moment our planet becomes a ghost ship, cast adrift in the infinite, frozen ocean of space. Let's start the clock. The 8 minutes and 20 seconds are up. The last photons from the sun have completed their journey and splashed against the Earth. The transition is instantaneous and total. One moment, you're in daylight. The next, you're in a darkness deeper than any cave, any abyss. The only light comes from our own civilization, city lights, car headlights, and the distant, cold pinpricks of the stars. And what a view it would be. With the sun's overwhelming glare gone, the night sky would erupt. The Milky Way would no longer be a faint, hazy band. It would be a brilliant, churning river of light, so bright you could almost read by it. Nebulae and distant galaxies, usually reserved for powerful telescopes, would become visible to the naked eye. It would be the most terrifyingly beautiful starscape humanity has ever witnessed. But the beauty is a deadly illusion. While we're staring at the sky, the moon vanishes. Not literally, but it blinks out as if a switch were flipped, because it has no light of its own to generate. It's just a rock, and its light was always borrowed. The same goes for the planets. Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, all disappear from our sky, becoming invisible wanderers in the new dark. On Earth, the immediate effect is panic. Mass confusion reigns. Power grids, already strained, would likely begin to fail under unprecedented demand. Communication systems would be overwhelmed. Astronomers would be the first to understand the horrifying truth, but their voices would be lost in a global chorus of fear. And then, just as the last photon arrived, so does the last graviton. According to Einstein's theory of general relativity, gravity travels at the speed of light. So, at the exact same moment the light dies, the gravitational tether holding Earth in its orbit snaps. The effect isn't a violent jolt. It's smoother and far more terrifying. Imagine swinging a ball on a string and suddenly letting go. The ball doesn't stop or fall. It flies off in a straight line from the point of release. That is now Earth. Our planet, along with every other planet, asteroid, and comet in the solar system, is now untethered. We are no longer orbiting anything. We are now a rogue planet, hurtling into interstellar space in a perfectly straight line, maintaining our previous orbital velocity of roughly 30 kilometers, or 18.5 miles, per second. The beautifully choreographed dance of the solar system is over. The planets scatter, each flying off on its own tangent, like cosmic billiard balls after a break, never to interact again. In the first 24 hours, the most immediate and noticeable change after the initial darkness is the cold. The sun is a colossal nuclear furnace that bathes our planet in life-sustaining warmth. Without it, Earth's stored thermal energy begins to radiate away into space with shocking speed. The average global temperature, normally around 15 degrees Celsius or 59 degrees Fahrenheit, would begin to plummet. Deserts that were scorching hot hours before would experience a frost. Within a day, average temperatures would be hovering around freezing. Within a week, they would drop to about -18 Celsius or 0 degrees Fahrenheit. This is colder than the most brutal Siberian winter, and it would be happening everywhere on the planet simultaneously. The ecosystem's collapse would be almost instantaneous. The engine of life on Earth is photosynthesis. Plants, algae, and phytoplankton use sunlight to create energy, forming the base of nearly every food chain on the planet. The moment the sun vanishes, photosynthesis stops. It doesn't slow down, it ceases entirely. Small plants would die within days. Larger trees could survive for a while on their stored energy reserves, but their death sentence has been passed. With the plants gone, the food chain unravels from the bottom up with terrifying speed. Herbivores would starve first. Then, the carnivores that prey on them would follow. The oceans, which cover 70% of our planet, would fare no better. Phytoplankton, the foundation of the marine food web, would die off almost instantly, leading to a mass extinction event that would make the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs look like a minor inconvenience. The surface of the oceans would begin to freeze, starting a process that will eventually entomb the entire planet in ice. For humanity, survival becomes a desperate race against the cold. The surface of the planet is no longer viable. Anyone caught outside without extreme thermal protection would freeze to death in hours, then minutes. The only hope would be to go down, deep down. Our planet has its own internal heat source, a molten core left over from its formation. This geothermal energy is what powers volcanoes and hot springs. It would be our only salvation. Humanity would need to retreat into deep mines, purpose-built underground bunkers, or submarine fleets that could hide in the deepest, warmest parts of the ocean. Nations with existing geothermal power infrastructure, like Iceland, might have a temporary head start, but the challenge would be monumental. Moving billions of people to shelters that don't exist, all while the world above freezes and society collapses into chaos. The world would be divided into two groups, the freezing dead and the buried survivors living on borrowed time. A year after the sun disappears, the Earth is unrecognizable. The surface temperature has plunged to a stable minus 100 degrees Celsius, or minus 150 degrees Fahrenheit. The oceans are now covered in a sheet of ice dozens, perhaps hundreds, of meters thick. This ice layer is actually a blessing in disguise. Ice is a fantastic insulator. While the surface is unimaginably cold, the ice blanket would trap the Earth's remaining geothermal heat in the liquid water below. For hundreds of thousands of years, a vast, dark, liquid ocean could exist beneath the frozen shell, a potential sanctuary for some forms of life. What life could possibly survive? Not us on the surface. But deep at the bottom of our oceans, clustered around hydrothermal vents, are entire ecosystems that have never seen the sun. These are communities of extremophiles, bacteria, tube worms, strange crustaceans that thrive on chemosynthesis. They derive their energy not from sunlight, but from the chemical-rich, superheated water spewing from the Earth's crust. For these creatures, the sun's disappearance would be a non-event. Their dark world would continue unchanged, a final, resilient pocket of life on a dead world. Perhaps the last surviving human submarines would seek out these vents, oases of warmth in a global frozen desert, trying to learn from the only organisms that were prepared for an eternity of night. Above the ice, the very air we breathe would begin to fail us. As the temperature continues to drop over the coming years, it will reach the point where the atmosphere itself begins to freeze. First, carbon dioxide would precipitate out as dry ice snow. Then, eventually, the oxygen and nitrogen that make up the bulk of our atmosphere would condense into liquid, and then freeze solid, falling like a strange, final snow onto the icy surface. The sky would be gone. There would be no air, no pressure, just a perfect, airless vacuum. The Earth would be as silent and dead as the moon, with its thin layer of frozen atmosphere glittering under the light of the distant stars. Our planet would be a cryopreserved tomb, hurtling through the cosmos. Where are we going? Adrift in the Milky Way, Earth's journey is now one of pure chance. For millennia, we would travel through the near-empty space between stars. The chances of colliding with another star are astronomically small. The chances of being captured by the gravity of another star system are slightly better, but still incredibly remote. If, by some 1 in a billion chance, our rogue planet did wander into a new solar system and was captured into orbit around a new star, it would be a dead end. The frozen atmosphere and oceans wouldn't just thaw. They would sublimate violently, boiling away into space. The surface, sterilized by eons of hard vacuum and cosmic radiation, would be scoured clean. Any buried human survivors would have been gone for millions of years by then, their geothermal havens long since run out of energy. The Earth would become a barren water world, or a dry, sterile rock. There would be no second chances. This thought experiment reveals the most profound truth about our existence. We see the sun as a constant, a giver of light and warmth. But it is so much more. It is our anchor, the conductor of our cosmic orchestra, the gravitational linchpin that turns a chaotic collection of rocks and gas into a stable, life-giving system. Its disappearance wouldn't just be an inconvenience. It would be the complete and total unraveling of our reality, a planetary death in slow motion, from the first second of darkness to the final freeze. Every sunrise is a stay of execution we never knew we had, a quiet affirmation that our anchor is still there, holding our fragile world in its gentle, life-sustaining grip. We live on a paradise world, not because it is special in itself, but because it exists in the perfect, delicate, and temporary grace of a star. Our frozen world, a silent monument to a life that once was, would continue its lonely journey through the void, a ghost planet forever chasing a dawn that will never break.